games are just miles ahead in terms of graphics, and we've got a whole slew of them coming in the next couple of years. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, crazy realistic graphics in games being released this year and the next couple. Starting off at number 10, it's Black Myth Wukong. Coming to us from Chinese developer Game Science, Black Myth Wukong is based on an extremely old novel called Journey to the West from China's Ming Dynasty period. Black Myth Wukong is a Souls-like, and as you can see, it looks like a damn CG rendered movie from maybe a couple years ago. Now, I think what's particularly impressive about how beautiful this game looks is that the developer is not a AAA. This is literally being created by an indie developer, and I wouldn't necessarily call it grounded in reality, but in terms of details, we're looking at something that looks like it could exist in real life, if not for all the fantasy elements. I mean, the lighting, the fur and skin on enemies, and especially your hair on your character who is some kind of a creature. Roughly translated, your character is called the Monkey King, known as Sun Wukong. I mean, you're literally a legendary mythic figure in terms of 16th century Chinese mythology, and you look cool as hell. This is an Unreal Engine 4 game. Most likely we're talking PC and the next-gen consoles. I can't imagine PS4 and the Xbox One derivatives really handling this level of detail, but it looks amazing, and although we don't know exactly when it's supposed to come out, they've given themselves a bit of a couple-year buffer. It's very likely we will see it. Maybe next year, if not the year after. At number 9 is Crimson Desert. This comes from the developers of Black Desert Online, which is already a pretty good-looking game. Crimson Desert is a little bit different. It's an open-world action-adventure game, originally planned as a prequel to Black Desert Online, but it was something that sort of transformed as they were working on it into something different. Basically, the game's story takes place over a medieval fantasy setting, where you lead a small band of mercenaries, and, well, it looks interesting. But also, it looks incredible. In terms of landscapes, vistas, different types of views, I mean, this is just one of the prettiest looking games. And I think there are times you can mistake footage of this game for a photograph. Character designs are also really detailed, but probably the most impressive aspect of this one is just how big the game itself looks, while also maintaining this level of detail in basically every shot we've seen. It's really, really impressive. Supposedly it's gonna land on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X this upcoming winter of 2021. I think it's got a lot of promise. At number 8 is Project Eve. Now, Project Eve has been something that has been in development a while. It was originally an action game that was slated for PC, PS4, and Xbox One, and their derivatives. It is something that is going to be hitting next gen instead. Probably good on account the level of graphics we're seeing in it are very, very nice. It kind of looks like if you combine Devil May Cry or Bayonetta with kind of a Ghost of Tsushima type strategy. I don't know if that makes sense, and I might even be just projecting that onto the footage, but I'm definitely intrigued by what I see here. I mean, in terms of realistic landscapes, they've also released a lot of screenshots of this game that just paint a picture of something that looks incredible. Like, there's kind of post-apocalyptic cityscapes that are extremely chilling to look at, but this boss battle also, I'm excited by what I see by it. Not just graphically speaking, but also gameplay. However, I mean, look at how big and expansive this environment is. Look at the textures on the boss. And look at the motion. Everything is just crystal clear, smooth, and fast. There is no concrete release schedule for Project Eve, but I am so excited to see how it pans out. It looks like it could really be a massive title, not just in terms of game size, but if it actually turns out how it looks, it could be just a massive game that year. At number 7 is Horizon Forbidden West. Now, Horizon Zero Dawn is obviously just a graphically gorgeous game. It's beautiful, and that is on extremely outdated hardware. Horizon Forbidden West indulges all of the latest stuff. Like, we are looking at footage of this, and what else is there to really say? And just damn. We've only seen this one thing, but we can assume that this is gonna be huge. The developers, Guerrilla, are always on top of their game in terms of graphics. Like, also, their engine helped Death Stranding look as incredible as it does. But let's just be completely clear how excited I am in terms of just how cool Horizon Zero Dawn was, in terms of concept, in terms of execution, world building, story. It's probably one of the best of its type, and I think that Forbidden West is going to be even bigger. At number 6 is Resident Evil 8 Village. So, the Resident Evil engine established with Resident Evil 7, freaking amazing. It is such an amazing, beautiful engine. It's capable of so much, but we have now seen so much in terms of the detail of a more traditional Resident Evil looking setting in terms of the house that you're in Resident Evil 8 in this maiden demo. Like, not just in terms of the environment, which by the way is amazing. You not only see like the difference between the interiors and the weather outside, there is a steam that forms from the differences in temperature, but you also get to see how incredibly well-made people are in this demo. It's very brief, but the 9-foot-tall lady, we've seen her elsewhere, but there's just something about how well all of the things in this demo come together, including her, that just lands incredibly well. Like, you had all those insanely detailed environments with the wood moldings, the old Victorian style. It looks real, especially the lighting. And then you have an attractive 9-foot woman burst through the door, and it doesn't look weird. She fits in. It works. This is an astounding looking game, and knowing how great 7 was, this is going to be phenomenal. At number 5 is Odin Valhalla Rising. Now, this is a game coming to us from Korea. It's an MMORPG, and it's a mobile game. Now, keep in mind, this is a game that will also be landing on PC, but the footage they've been showing off has been mobile because they want everybody to know this is how good it looks on a damn phone. I don't want to comment on whether or not we need another MMORPG, but I do want to say I am extremely impressed with this. I think when we see it on the PC, it's going to be even more impressive. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like what they're claiming they can do on mobile, if that is indeed what the game looks like at launch, holy crap. At number 4 is Chrono Odyssey. No, it is not in any way related to Chrono Trigger or Chrono Cross. This is an MMORPG, probably one of the prettiest looking ones we've seen. It is crazy ambitious in terms of especially character designs and faces. I mean, we have obviously seen a ton of pre-rendered stuff out of this game, but we've also seen some glimpses at actual gameplay. It's really impressive, to be frank. Costumes are really detailed, cloaks flap, there's flames, there's sparks, dust, swords clash, cause environmental changes, and there's also, of course, really big, impressive monsters with cool animations. It has a little bit of a Dark Souls feel to what it looks like they're trying to do. A little more arcadey, but I think something that could really pan out well for an MMORPG. At number 3 is a game actually called Ill. It is a horror game being developed by a small indie developer who's looking for funding. Basically, it's a game where I'm not sure that I would call it completely realistic looking. It's got a very good atmosphere, but what's interesting here is the advanced physics that they're attempting to integrate into the gameplay. For instance, there is some very detailed dismemberment shown via shotgun blast in some of their footage. A lot of this is still conceptual, though. It seems like the big sell here is the sort of physics-based actual manipulation of physical objects within the game's world. I think it looks really cool, but it is also really unconventional that they would try to fund it through Patreon. That said, I mean, they have a lot of people sold on it. There's 908 people contributing about $3,400 a month. Definitely not like full-time job money or anything, considering there's a couple of people working on this. But it's also really impressive for a small team, and could potentially look extremely realistic and horrifying. And number 2 is Atomic Heart. We've talked about this game a lot. It is kind of BioShock meets Fallout, meets Dishonored, meets Prey, meets BioShock, meets the Soviet Union, meets Futurism, meets BioShock. Also, there's weapons crafting. Now, what we've seen in this game is so incredibly slick, beautiful, and in terms of what is possible in gameplay. It's really impressive. But we've seen not only incredibly detailed environments with beautiful reflections and amazing architecture and very different effects, we've also seen this plant creature boss, which sort of appears to be like a mound of muscle, sinew, mass, something. I don't know exactly. It's really gross to look at, honestly. But it's really fast, and it's hard to really catch. From the looks of it, the combat in this game is going to be pretty wild and, frankly, somewhat unpredictable. But it's going to take place in perhaps the most well-realized environments we've seen in a game like that. And I am so excited and interested to jump in and find out what the hell is going on. And finally at number 1 is Gran Turismo 7. Now we're kind of oscillating between this and the next Forza game in the main line, but Gran Turismo, these games take a really long time to make because the developers include this meticulous, basically silly level of detail, and these games always look totally insane, whether by console standards or just like game standards. This new one looks to be absolutely no different than that. There's detailed interiors, there's downright shocking lighting. It kind of looks like they're intending for this game to be a next-gen showcase for like 4K and HDR. In terms of what we're looking at here, it's beautiful. Like, it's like watching movie footage. It's just so incredibly impressive. The reflections, the sense of momentum and speed. I cannot wait to play it. I also can't wait to play the next mainline Forza, but we know a lot more about this one. And just wow. Seriously, look at it. A quick bonus game for you is God of War Ragnarok. We obviously haven't seen a whole lot about the game at this point. It's really just a teaser that we've seen, and it doesn't contain like some of the more important revelations, like what Atreus would look like, or really any graphical stuff. But we know that the previous God of War game is just like a graphical like monster, especially considering it was a PlayStation 4 game, and I think looks good right now. Like, you could publish it as it is right now on PlayStation 5, and people will be like, this looks really good. It's a damn good looking game. I don't know exactly when we'll see it.